Hello.
Yeah, Rahul.
Yeah. Hello, ma'am. It is necessary to if you write the image tag, so you have to. I have to be specify height and width. Is it mandatory
No,
or not, ma'am?
no, it's not mandatory. If you do not give width and height, it will automatically take the dimensions of the original image which you have uploaded.
Oh, okay, ma'am. I just want.
So here, mm, so this is the basic HTML. Let's say this is a div. Inside this div, I want to show an image. So as I mentioned yesterday, generally whenever you add different files to your structure here, your folder, it is recommended that you group the files as per their types and create different folders. Like I can create a folder for images, I can create a folder for not inside it, outside script. Inside image, for example, I just go to the particular path here. Okay, let me go to Google and download any image. Good. The small one, this one. Let's say I just save image as, and I go to this folder here, images. It's being added here. Right now I add one image tag here, img, and you add, specify a source here. You press Ctrl and Shift, it will come. This intelligence will come. Like I started doing this and it will come up. Now inside my images, I have this one image. Now let's view this page. See, this image is coming here. Now by default, it has taken the default height and width of that particular image. If you want to set it, then you can use the width and height. Okay, does this answer your question, Dinesh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right, guys. So today we are going to, as your title says of this training, HTML attribute. So today we are going to learn two topics, HTML attribute and forms. Before I start that, I would like to know uh, anything related to HTML tables or whatever we have covered yesterday. Any doubts? And have you guys tried creating that kind of a table, which I have shown you yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone wants to share the machine and show? Can raise their hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just taking the first one, Nagesh Kumar. I'm just making you the presenter and you can share it. The presenter. Let me stop my screen sharing. Nagesh, now you can share your screen. And Sheikh Saddam Hussein, this is how you pronounce your name?
Just get me a second, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Not yet. Aisha has also done.
Is it now?
Now, yeah, it's loading now. Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Should I show my source code or what?
First, show the HTML page.
Okay. This is my HTML page.
Yeah, you can open it in the browser. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Zoom it a little bit. That's great. Wonderful. You have also applied some kind of a color coding. Very good.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
That's nice. Who else wants to show up? Let me see. Nagesh, you can just lower down your hand. Yes, perfect. First, Saddam Hussein, please let me know how to pronounce your name if I'm not calling you right.
Ma'am, wait a second, ma'am. 2 minutes time, ma'am.
Okay, till the time we can see from Aisha. Aisha, I'm just making you presenter. You can share your screen. So was it easy for you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So for those who have not tried it, please try it. Without trying it, without getting your hands dirty, you will not be able to understand it.
Ma'am,
Lot- Yeah, I
it's
can see
visible.
lots. Yes, it is visible. Lots of things you have written. HRI navigation, very good. Then there is this table. Okay, but you have to use the column span and row span also.
1 minute, ma'am. 1 minute.
Yeah, that's good. You are trying different elements. Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, wonderful. So much of nesting. Another table. See, rest of the people also can look here. What she has done is she has nested another table inside another table. Like one parent table is there, inside that parent, a nested table is there. So it's a kind of a little complicated structure, but just try all these things. Even she has written that which row number, item number. Very good. That's really nice. You're trying like this.
Ma'am,
Awesome.
can I?
Very good. Who else was speaking up?
Ma'am, Saddam sir.
Yeah, you can. Okay,
Ma'am,
let me make you presenter. Yeah, Aisha.
this one.
Okay, very good. Here you have merged the cells. Really good. Very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Saddam, can you raise your hand? I am not able to find you. You're just.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, no, okay. You're visible. Yeah, you can share your screen now.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
I can see the code. Timetable for students. Very good. You're coming up with different examples.
ma'am, this is my output, ma'am.
Output is not visible. I think you have just shared your Visual Studio code.
Ma'am, is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible now and it's looking very nice. Proper, good layout, like generally what we see. Just that your lunch CHN should be on the next line. Everything else looks perfect. A perfect timetable of how we see for
Ma'am,
students.
wait a second, ma'am. I have another.
See, why I'm asking people to showcase here is also another reason is that rest of the people should also get motivated to try it, right? Please try at home. Whatever we are learning during the sessions, try those things at home. Start by making a simple table, start by merging two cells, then go on and increase the complexity by your own. Like he has found, you can also find out some common examples near you only. Are you displaying something else?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I created table also, ma'am. It's not visible in. I posted it at GitHub, ma'am. Some
Mm-hmm.
people.
digital watch.
It's not coming, ma'am. I think.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. You can just find it out later on. Not, of course, during the session.
Thank you.
Maybe in the next session, you can just display it. Very good. Awesome. All right. Now let's continue with the session. So today, as I have mentioned, we are going to work on attributes and forms. Two things, no PPT because it's all again practical. So we'll be learning while doing the practice. Okay. So anyone wants to tell anything about attributes? What are attributes? Okay. So attributes, if I talk
No,
about, yeah,
the things written within the tags.
things written within the
Tags.
okay.
Uh,
What else?
hello, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, attributes are used to define the characteristic of something.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So attributes are the additional characteristics, or you can see that the properties of any element. For example, you could see the source here, src. This is one of the attributes. See, it is written also here, the image URL, this attribute is mandatory. Means this is an additional property, additional characteristic of this image element, which you can add and specify it. So there are lots of attributes which are available depending upon the element on which we are working upon. Okay. Also, attributes are always mentioned within these tags. Like when you start the element, after that give some space and then you can write your attributes. And in general, your attributes always have a name value pair. Let me write down these things somewhere on a board kind of a thing, which should be easy for you guys. So what we are learning about attributes. What are attributes? Some additional properties or you can say additional characteristics. Enclosed in the tag, inside your tags, and most of, not all, most, not all attributes have a name and a value pair. Means like here also you could see that we have mentioned source is the name and this is the value. There are attributes which only have a name, they do not have a value. I will be telling about those also. Okay. Now let's start looking at different attributes what we do have. First one is which I have just shown is src, which was available with your anchor tag src. Second, if I talk about this image tag only, we have width and height, as someone has mentioned. So you can directly specify the width and height here with image tag. You do not have to go directly to the styles to do that. I can write width here. Suppose I want to limit it to 100 pixels and height also the same. Now see, it has become shorter. Earlier it was occupying the entire page kind of, right? Now it is coming very shorter. So you can give it in different dimensions, right? You can give pixels, you can give in percentage, and so many other dimensions are also available. Just study about the common ones. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
I have a question that if we download an image and most of the images are not square. So if we give them pixels as 100 by 100, 200 by
Mm-hmm.
100, so it
Mm-hmm.
may not visible properly. It will maybe like more
Yes, that
wider
depends.
or more shorter.
Yeah. See, when you will be working on the actual projects in different organizations, right? There you won't be using the images downloaded from Google because most of the images are copyrighted. Okay? Here you
Yeah.
have to use the images provided to you by the project. You won't be downloading anything from internet. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the pixels for now because those images will have that would be provided to you will have the proper dimensions given.
Okay,
Just
ma'am.
that you have to fit them on the page as per the requirement. What is the requirement? Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Also, never give this. Suppose in interviews it's being asked, never say that you will be downloading images from Google. No, you cannot do that in your live projects because most of the images which are there on internet may be copyrighted, right? You cannot use anybody else content. Here I'm just showing you for the training purpose. That's why I just downloaded it from there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's continue. So what I was showing here, first was source, second width and height. Then we have next attribute is alt attribute. What does alt means? Alt is it is alternate. This also is generally used for images. When and why do we use this attribute is that, for example, for some reason or maybe something went wrong, your image cannot be displayed, or maybe your network is slow and image is too heavy to be downloaded. So meanwhile, if your image is not available, you can use alt to display some text over there. Otherwise, you remember that sign, a small very not good sign comes up, right, when image is not available. So here you can just write alt and you can provide some text here. This text will come up when this image is not available. For now, because this image is coming up, so it will come up. For example, I give a wrong URL here. Now this text is coming here. So you can use this alt to be displayed if you are by any reason, for any reason your image is not coming up. For example, you are using or picking it from some URL, which image is being removed from that URL now, right? Or it has been renamed. So during that time, this will come up. Instead of just showing the blank, this broken image, this text will come up there. Okay. Like what we have seen yesterday to apply different styles. Style is also one kind of attribute you can apply. Style can be applied on most of the elements as we have seen. I can just write style here and keep on writing anything from all the available properties. I can add border, padding, position, width. You will be learning all these things during your CSS session. Okay, just that it is also one of the attribute. And also yesterday I have told you about ID and class. ID and class are also attributes. Is the initial definition clear to everyone that what are attributes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So let's move ahead and look at the other attributes which you can understand. Let's say you have inside, I give, suppose I have input elements, input type text. In that you can specify the size size where you can just mention out the width of that particular element. If I specify 60 here, so this will be of 60 width. If I do not specify it, by default it is of width 20. Let me write down here also what all we are covering so that I can just share it later on to you guys. Size. Next one, you can consider max length. Instead of, let's say, text, I use a number. Then along with size, you can specify maximum length of that particular text box or the number box, whatever input you want to take. So max length is to specify the maximum number of characters you can enter. It can be number, it can be text also, doesn't matter. I just changed to show you that it is going to be anything. Let's say I say 4 here. So it's not, I'm trying to type, it's not allowing me to enter anything beyond 4. By this you can limit the number of the maximum length also. Okay, the same way you also have a maximum and minimum value. Generally that is used in case of numbers. If you have a number, you can specify a max value, let's say is 10. There is a minimum value, let's say I say that it is going to be 0. So it will not allow you to take anything beyond it. See, it is showing it like this, right? I cannot enter anything other than this. Okay, what else we have covered? Max and min.
Ma'am, can you show us how to add a drop-down menu in the input?
I'll be doing that. Wait. In forms, today only, after this, these attributes are covered, I'll show you that. Okay. Another attribute other than max min, let's say in this only, there is one more which is known as step. What step does is that the difference between the values, let's say I give step as 2. So what it will do is that in that case, see, I can only add after the difference of 2. If I try to add 3, it will not allow me when I have a submit button. If I try to click submit, it will give me an error. That is the purpose of using step here. So these things, what I am telling you now, like maximum length, max, min, or using the step, they are also part of validations. Like we are trying to put some basic validations using attributes. We do have lots of more validations which are part of JavaScript or maybe server-side validations, but these are the very basic ones which you can cover using attributes also. Okay.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, call span is also attribute or a tag?
Yes. Anything you write inside your element call span is also one of the attribute. That's right.
Okay. I just want to know. Okay, thank you.
If I write class, that's also an attribute. In the link, I was adding something that is also an attribute. Anything additional characteristic or a property you are trying to add with any element, that is known as attribute. At times they do ask such definitions in your interview, so you need to remember these things. Okay, these were about the number things you can add, like maximum length, size. Size is not related to number, it's just the size of your element. Width of your element, how do you want to specify it? If I do not specify it, then it will take 20. I need to remove these to see that. By default it's 20, you can change it. Okay, there are so many attributes available in HTML5. I cannot cover all, I'm just telling you the common ones. Also, like whenever you have these text boxes, let's say generally for text, we have a placeholder. The purpose of placeholder is to show some text till the moment you click there and start typing it. Enter name dot dot dot, something like that. You can write anything here. So it will come like this here, right? The moment I click here and start typing, it will go away. It's just to tell you what is the purpose of this particular text box. And this placeholder, this thing works with only few types where generally you have to type in something. Like whenever type is text, you have a search type, even this type, right? This is also an attribute. You have email, password. In all such cases, you can use placeholder. It cannot be found in all of the elements because purpose is defeated over there, right? Images cannot have a placeholder. Doesn't make any sense over there. Okay. And whenever you have let me also write it down what all we are covering here. So we have seen step also, and we have seen placeholder till now. Next one is autofocus.
Hello, ma'am. I want to ask something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have just shown us that there is a text in that bar,
Type.
that enter name. Yeah, enter name.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
in usually if we search any websites, and
Yeah.
that this text usually seems like a little lighter in
Mm-hmm.
contrast or faint. So
Mm-hmm.
can you show us how to do that?
Again, that's part of your styling. CSS. It is very much possible you can change the styles using the style sheets. I know I can understand these questions are coming to your mind. That's really good. If I start telling you that right now, we'll be moving on to the CSS part. Next session,
Okay,
next
ma'am.
week, this session is going to be on CSS. Okay. So just hold on
Okay,
these
ma'am.
questions till next week. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, next I was telling you about autofocus. It is, as the name suggests, whenever you load your page, you want to focus on a particular element, right? Suppose I add another input here. That is also going to be text. Name is, let's say this is for city, right? And I want to be focused on this one, not on the first one by default. So here you can see that this particular attribute, it is not having a name and value pair. It's just that you just write it and close your element. You don't have to set a true and false. If you write autofocus, means the focus will be on this particular element. See, I've not made any change here. It's by default, it should come on the first element. It's not coming. It's showing on the one where I have used this autofocus. Okay. There could be, see, whenever I start writing here, press here, all these are the attributes available to you. Not all the attributes, there are events also. These who are starting with on are the events. You'll be learning about them during your JavaScript session. However, most of them are the attributes which we can just use them and try to explore what is the purpose of them. Even if I use any of them, then you see that even here also you can see what is the purpose. It will come here also, the definition. Why it's not showing up here? It usually comes here also. Otherwise, you can just Google and check the purpose for that particular attribute. Like this one, autofocus doesn't have a value. We have many more like this. For example, you want to populate one city with a default value and you want to make it a read only. You don't want anyone to make a change to this one. The moment you make it read only, you cannot make a change here. I'm trying to type here and I cannot make any change here. Okay, here also you have seen that read only have not set any kind of a value. It's just that giving this attribute, it is enabled. Okay, so what else we have covered? Autofocus. After autofocus, we have seen read only. Similarly, you can see disabled. Sometimes it's just that generally disabled is used for your drop downs or your checkboxes. There also you can just write disabled. No value is required. See, the color has been changed. So it is disabled now, right? The difference between read only is that it's just for reading purpose. Disabled is that disabled. You cannot make any change over there. Disable is generally used whenever you have something like which you can click, like drop downs. You have options to do that, or you have checkboxes, radio buttons. In all such cases you can use disabled. Okay, one more very important attribute is required. The moment you write required, it is useful when we do forms, because using the required means that this particular field is required. You need to put a value in this, otherwise it will show you a validation error on your page. So here is the 12th one, required.
So, ma'am, is it like a mandatory place where we have to put something, otherwise we'll be getting it like we get in the
Yes,
form section
yes,
when
that's
we fill
right.
up a form?
It is generally used in even in the form section only. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Whenever inside your form you click on a submit button, you'll be able to, and if you put this required, you will get the validation. And I'll show you, because after this we'll be doing the forms. Okay. Now I'm giving you a 5-10 minutes. You just try different attributes on your own right now and see if they are working for you or not. I would like someone to share their screen and see that if they have tried or not. Okay. And this time, of course, different people should come up. 5-10 minutes, just try it. Raise your questions, ask it if you have any doubts with this. Let me show the names. Sorry. You guys are trying now, or we are just sitting idle here? I hope people are trying.
Yes, we are trying, ma'am.
Okay, great, great.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. This is Sagar here.
Yeah, Sagar.
Can you share again a code because I joined a late class today.
What should I show you?
Code.
See, this is what I have just mentioned here. I have tried to use all the different attributes which I have written over there. And I also have removed because I try to use maximum length, max, min, etc.
Okay.
I can put another here, input type text, that's a number, and maximum refresh for 10. Okay, let's start with this. What size here? Let's say 30. Here, step.
Uh, Guys, please go on mute.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what's the purpose of name attribute?
Name, I'll tell you. See, okay, let me write it what all questions you guys are asking, and I will answer you in 5 to 10 minutes. You want to know about name, the purpose of name, and what else? Someone has asked about required. I need to show how required is working. What else was there related to form? Okay, how to add a drop down, or will show different radio buttons. Just complete this 2-3 more minutes and we'll start with forms. Anyone wants to show what they have tried? Can raise your hand and show up and we can start with the forms.
2 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I want to see some new hands being raised this time.
Can I show my screen, ma'am?
Vishal, yes, you can do that. Let me make you the presenter. Can you raise your hand?
Okay, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Yeah, because it becomes easy to find you out.
Ma'am,
There
can
is
you see?
lots of no, I can't see it till now, and there's lots of background noise from your end.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you
Okay,
see now?
not yet.
Wait, ma'am. Now, ma'am.
No. I hope you know how to yeah, it's getting loaded now.
It is simple form, ma'am.
Great,
And
great. You have
code.
put.
This is code.
Okay, wonderful. So you are aware of how to use forms and different elements.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Good, 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 good. Okay, great. Now please go on mute.
Yes, ma'am. Data on.
Anyone else want to quickly show?
Ma'am,
Yeah, Raghav.
the read only and disabled are same.
No, they're not same. The purpose is that read only is generally used when you have text boxes, text box number, email, where you just want for a read only purpose. You don't want to make a change. Disabled is generally used along with radio buttons, check boxes, where you cannot go and select, make a change. For some purpose, maybe on some action on your page, you want to disable any such element. In that case, you just use disabled. You use these attributes along with your JavaScript. You can disable or enable the elements based upon some condition.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, so this was about attributes. I have shown you the common ones, and I just recommend that you guys just go and search and check, try different attributes which are available to us. Okay. Next is important topic is about forms. HTML forms. I can see that few of you are already aware of what are forms and how do we use it. For rest, I will tell you that what is the purpose of form. We use a form to collect the data, to collect the inputs from user. You would have seen some kind of a form whenever you are trying to create a new account, you are filling some information. That is a form. This is an element which is available in HTML. Like here, I'm adding a new HTML. I'm just calling it form.html for now. You can, how do you start here? You start with using this form. You need to have a starting and ending for this. Inside this
Ma'am, your screen
form,
is not visible.
oh sorry, I need to start it again. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
I added a new HTML page here. Inside the body tag, I have written this form. This needs to have the starting tag as well as the closing one. Okay. Inside this form, we can place different special elements for input, taking text box, check boxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, etc. Okay. And whenever you run this, it's the purpose is that to collect information from user. Right? So user can input the information. Whenever user click on a button or generally on the submit button, that information is being recorded and processed based upon the requirement. Okay. Now see inside form, generally what elements which we use all are of type input. Like we have already seen, we write input here. For different kind of elements and different requirement, we change the type. You see different things are coming here. Button, checkbox, color, date, time, email, file, hidden, image, month, radio button, range, reset, research. Different options are coming to you. All these have a different purpose here. Okay, for example, if I use text, the purpose is to you can enter any kind of a text here. Okay, and whenever like I want to on a form, I want to have this text box being displayed. We generally do not display it like this, right? We also display some text even before it or top of it, right side, anywhere, that what is the purpose of this box. For that, you use label. Like I want to display here label, right? Now, and let's say, and enter your name. This is what I want to display. How would you know that this label is linked with this input? for that, what you do is that with your label, there is one attribute for. Okay, this for should have the same value as per the ID of this input. If I call it name, for example, then this for should be containing name. This means this label is associated with this particular input. So this is the purpose, is to bind them together. Okay, if you give the value of for here, same value you have to give for the ID part here. It start coming here. Again using, let me increase the size here, zoom it a little bit. Okay, I've zoomed it, I've not increased the font size for now. So again, using your style sheets, different styling, you can place it above it, you can place it at the right side, some border, anything you can do along using your CSS. Just that the purpose is that it's just for the binding purpose, that they both are linked to each other. Okay. Now let's see what all other options do we have. Few I have shown you that text is there. If I use number, let's say I say input type number and what is the numeric value, age, right? And before that I'm using a label here, or it has to be same as the ID, age, enter your age, something like this. Now here I'm trying to add some alphabets. I cannot do that. It will only take some numbers here, right? You can put the limit on the numbers using the attributes which I have told you. Inside this you can give specify a max, let's say 100 or maybe 110, right? So you can also specify minimum to be 0, right? And maximum length can be 3. I cannot enter more than 3 characters. Okay, all these things you can apply here. Now also remember we have used div yesterday. What I could do is that I can put this inside one div here and start another div here for age.
Ma'am, label is inline element, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Label, yeah, it's inline. Okay, yeah. This is about the text and number. For example, I want to have a password. Password is very much similar to your this text, just that if I enter one more text here, type password ID, let's say I give pwd, and let's say after this I give a break and I give another label here. For this time it will be pwd, I give it normal password. Difference is that if I use a password, by default it will show it you like this. You can hide from user. Okay, same way if for password other than password you have email. The difference in email is that if you do not use @ sign while using emails, right, then it will show you some error while you are trying to submit it. Okay. So that
Hello,
is a
ma'am.
small, yeah,
May I ask a question?
yeah.
Uh, this all the things have required a specific kind of input, and like we are not using at in email ID or something. So there must be a message which pop up for the
Yes,
user to
yeah,
know
I'll
that
show you.
what is wrong with it. Yeah. So
Yes,
how
yes.
to-
Yeah, so for that, what you have to do is that when you have this form element, right? First thing is that there is one submit, what you are asking is about the submit button. I'm adding this in another div. Input type submit. Text you can change if you want to change it, otherwise it will show it as submit. Now it has started coming up, right? Okay, now let's say I make this password a required. I put it as required. Now I try to submit it. See, it is coming up. Please fill out this field, right? You can change the message, you can overwrite it using JavaScript if you want to. By default, it will show this generic message to you. Okay, let's say what else? Maximum value, enter age. I try to enter above this maximum value. Okay, now I click on submit. First thing from this, I fill it. See, value must be less than or equals to 110. So these attributes are also known as validation. What we are trying to do here is that by setting this maximum value, by using this required field, okay? So these are the messages which come up. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we have seen about the text, we have seen password. Same way, if I, instead of password, let's say I use input here. I'm just copying and pasting and make the required changes. I call it email. This is email. Type is email, right? Again, this is email. Let's remove this required for now. Something I type here, and let's click on submit. Yes, okay. Wait a minute. The message. See, please enter a part followed by at the rate. At the rate is incomplete. This means I have not given and followed the proper format for email. Okay. Also remember that, like, this is a very basic validation. You may have different conditions as per your requirement. For example, password, I'm just putting a required field here. You may have a different condition where you want to check that your password is meeting the criteria or not. Like the first character needs to be in uppercase, it should contain alphanumeric values. Such things you can do it using your JavaScript code. Those things are not possible in just plain HTML. Okay, only these few things, few validations, we can do it. Okay, now let me show you the controls. Like we have radio buttons and the drop downs. How do you put radio button? Let's see that, and that will answer your question on name. Put a div here, and this input type radio. You all know what is radio button? Like the options to click. Let's say I am trying to
Yes.
I'm trying to display gender here. Okay, I can put a label here at the top which will just say that it's for gender. I give a ID here, let's say male. And see, if I simply add this radio button, it will not show any text for this particular thing. It will just show this thing, right? We need to add a label for this also. You will add label for, has to be same, male. Now what happens is that, okay, I have not given the, okay. Now if I click on this male also, then also it is selecting this, right? Initially it is not selected. I click on this also label, it is selecting this. How this is happening? Because we have bind them together. If I use a different ID here, right, then I click on this label, nothing is happening. This will only happen when these are linked to each other, ID and for are same. That is one of the purpose for this. Second, name, let me come to that also. For example, I try another here, type equals to radio, ID, female, label for female. Generally what happens in radio buttons, that you can choose one of the values, not both of them. Now for example, in this case, if I select both of them are I am able to select both of them, right? This is not the requirement generally. How do you resolve this? In these cases, you need to use name. In all of your radio buttons, you have to use the same name. Like in this case, let's say I'm using gender. I'll copy this, paste here also. Now by using same name, now I can select only one of these. Right? This is one of the purpose of name. Is this clear? Using name, why I have put this name here, to have the linking between all the radio buttons in one group. This is the way you can link them together. If I give a different name to them, I can select all of them because then they become part of different groups. Is this thing clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Second purpose of name is that you can pick elements in your JavaScript code using name also. There also you can get elements by name. If you give a name to your elements, using that name also you can pick it. Another thing is that like these are the basic attributes which I have shown you. You can also use some attribute like this data hyphen. There also this name is helpful. You can pick that element using that name that you will be learning during your JavaScript. Okay. For now, you can just see that when you are trying to combine multiple elements together and put them in one group, you need to give the same name to them so that you can access them. Okay. This is how you add radio buttons. Next thing, let's see about your drop down. How do you add a drop down? For drop down, you have this element known as select. You use select for that. For example, first let me label it, and I'm trying to show, let's say, fruits. Or let's take something in synchronization to this, city. And I call it city. This is just the label part. Now I'll be using select. I call it name city. Right? And let's say ID also. I can give the same city. Inside this select, you have to give multiple options. Option. The value is Delhi. You also display Delhi here. Okay, I change it to Pune. See, now this will be coming up. If you want a blank one, like generally a blank comes up where nothing is chosen. By default it is this, and you have the options. You can select from the option. Is this clear? Someone has asked about putting this drop down. How do you put it?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one more thing I want to ask.
Yeah.
See, this city and this drop down arrow has a blank space in between. So,
This I have added. This
yeah,
I have
yeah.
added.
Sometime,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometime there is a message in that. Let's choose one, something like that.
Yeah. So
But
you can
if
write it.
if you want, let choose one there only, but not in options.
Okay.
Can you be do that? Because it's not necessary to display in options, right?
Yeah, I
Because
got your
options are
point. That
different. Yeah, ma'am. Can we do this?
I think that for that if I try to give a placeholder, there was some way of doing it. Select one of the options. That's what you are asking, right?
Yeah. So the choose
Ma'am, we
one,
can
that
use
is the
selected
thing
option.
which we must not
No,
select,
no, not
right?
selecting the option. He's asking that if I put a label, wait a minute, let me see. Is it coming up? See, one thing I know is that inside, if I keep a group here, right? there is one option that you create a group here. I show you that I create a group, opt group. Okay. Inside that, I can give a label. For example, I close it here. Now it will start coming like this. Let me remove this null. So now this is not part of your, okay, yeah, this is not part of your options, right? It's just that you can select it from the options. I cannot hover over to the select. It's just for the display purpose.
Ma'am, maybe it is the part of Bootstrap or something, I guess.
No, that's even in HTML that is possible. I don't remember as such, but there is an option to do that. Input, select, show text, please choose something like that, right? This is, they have used it like option only. Why it's not hiding? Yeah. See, this is the way they have added here also, right? Option, then you have just this, please select an option. However, there is no value set to it, so by default you cannot choose it. Even if you select it, there is no value being selected for it. Okay, if you want to display, then you can use an opt group, or in Bootstrap, yes, there are different options you can do there also. Okay, here also
in that case also maybe it will display a little gap in the options, right? Or not? It will only display the options.
Which gap? If I set it to none, that's what you're asking. In that case, what I can do is that instead of this, what was the earlier thing? I'm setting the value to none and I say that please select. It's coming like this and the values are coming here and you can select it. You can make it disabled so that person cannot select this. I make it disabled. I cannot select this one. See, this is disabled. Now you can select from the rest of the options.
Still, it is showing Delhi at the first.
Okay, wait a minute. How do you set it to the default option? There was one attribute to show that also. Selected. Yeah, selected. See, now it's coming, right? And I can choose from them.
Yeah, ma'am.
Is this fine now? This is what you want?
Yeah, it is fine, but still it's showing please select in that. But I will try to search on like
What do you
internet
want?
or maybe
What do you want to choose here? I'm
see what I exactly want is city. Please select display there, and if we go in the drop down menu, there must be only options there like
Oh,
Delhi
okay,
and Pune,
okay, okay.
nothing
I
else.
got it.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like
you the moment you click
that
here, you
is
don't
the
want to
like
display here.
ideal web page
Drop
kind of
down.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
ma'am.
yes. That's what. Yeah. There must be a label to do that. We can add some label here instead of option with the select. We'll have to search for it. There must be something to do it.
Actually, ma'am, I've worked on the Python that Teak Inter. You know
Mm-hmm.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So in that you have to do each and every single thing by your own. There are
Yes,
no
that's
like
right.
options to like or
Mm-hmm.
automatically displayed pop-up options and all things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having concern about each and every single thing. That's why I'm having so much of question mark.
It happens when you work on multiple languages, you keep on comparing them all together, right? When you will be learning Bootstrap, all this you
Bootstrap is so easy,
definitely,
man. Bootstrap is
yeah, you will
amazing.
definitely think that why you have learned all these things because it's not required, right? Because
Yeah,
you
man.
just
It's like
use those.
extra stuff you have to like do in
Yes,
this.
yes, there
Hello,
must be some way to it. Yeah.
ma'am. If I want to select Delhi, so can I write the selected tag for Delhi?
You can write it with one. It makes sense to have it with one. If I put it here, when your page is loaded by default, it will show you Delhi.
Yeah.
This is to set the default value. Okay.
Oh. Oh.
right? So this is one way. Second, which I have shown you, that how do you add the groups, why groups are required. For example, not here, let me take another example. Let's say you have a drop down wherein you want to display different technologies. Inside this, for example, I want to show one opt group where your label is, let's say, front end. I want to have some options inside it. Value, HTML, and same way you have CSS or maybe other things. I'm adding just two for now. And we can create another group here. Let's say I want to show for backend. And I say that we have SQL. Let's say you have Python. Things like that. So now what will happen? These two groups are being formed. And you can just have the multi-select option also enabled, so you can select multiple at one time. For that, now if I select, I can select only one, right? I can give here one more attribute, multiple. This means I can select multiple options. Now see, I can select multiple options, right? By just adding this one attribute, you can add select multiple, and how many you want to display. Like look here, all of them are coming like this. I want to show them two at one time. So I can use size here and see only two are coming now, right? So using different attributes, you can just make the changes like this. This is how you add any kind of a drop down, and you can group them together. Next is, how could you use checkboxes? For checkboxes, the type is checkbox. Again, name you can give a similar one. What should we do for checkboxes? Anything. Role, let's say. Now I can give different options here. First thing is the label for this particular checkbox. Let's say for is a role, or let's say I call it designer. And oh wait, no, that was fine. Role is fine here. ID is designer. I call this also designer, and I write designer here. Same way you can add more checkboxes. Name has to be same. This time I call it developer. Let's keep D as small. And see, these checkboxes are now coming, right? You can select anything. Okay, alignment. If you want to have a vertical alignment, again, using your style sheets, you can do that. They will start coming in the vertical alignment. Okay. More controls. These were the basic ones. Let's say we nowadays in HTML5 you have things for date. Let's say here giving break, then again a break. Then let's say I give input type date, and what it will give you? It will give you this calendar thing, and you can choose a date from here. Okay. Same way, instead of date, you can also choose color. You can choose a color here. Generally, what happens is that whenever you create some page where you want to specify some colors, so you can use this color bar over there. Lots of options are there in this input. Now you can also have month where you can just choose month and year, right? It is not showing the option to choose the date, just the month and the year. Range, if you want to give specify some particular range, then you can specify this range. See, the slider is coming, you need to specify the maximum and minimum value here, and it will come up. Max, let's say 10. So it will show you up the values here. It will pick up the values if you will do it. For display, again, you have to use the labels.
Hello, ma'am.
Mhm.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
in checkbox you mentioned role is there. What is the use of that role, ma'am? Name is equal to role.
See, role, it means that I have added two checkboxes. This is one checkbox, right, for designer. This is the second checkbox. If you use same name, this means that these two checkboxes are linked with each other. So when you will be accessing them at the backend, maybe in your JavaScript code, so you will be fetching by name. This means that you can fetch the value of these checkboxes. What all has been checked out. Okay, because in checkbox, what is the difference between checkbox and radio button? Radio button, you can select one option, right? In checkboxes, you can select multiple options that you can check along all the values, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if you give the same name, means they are linked with each other. They are part of the same group. Okay.
Okay.
So more
Hello, ma'am.
types. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. Just you
Mhm.
have shown us the range selection of range. So
Yes.
when we double click and hold that dot of range, so
Mm-hmm.
how we know that where are we currently at what range
Value.
we are selecting? Yeah,
Value.
value. So there must be a pop up in like above that, right?
Yes.
Can
Yes.
we add
Whenever
it?
you use that, yes, value for that, the value comes in. See, for the range, let's say I give minimum value here 0 and I give a maximum 10 here. And if I set a value to 4, right? Then it will show that value here, 4. If I set it to, let's say, 10 initially, it will be at this value. So whenever you change the value, right? I change it to 7 or somewhere here by using that slider also. You can show the slider also. How do you add slider? By using different labels, you could do that. And these values are accessible to you at your JavaScript using this value. You can give some ID to it, whatever is
Ma'am,
your ID.
I guess you don't understand what I'm telling. I'm telling
Yeah.
that when we double click and hold that dot, there must be the value pop above that. That where are we actually is like are we at 7 or are we at 5? Because randomly we can
Mhm.
scroll it here and there, but we don't know where is it.
Okay, like
So you,
What range we are selecting. Like if here it is a 0 to 10, that's not a wide range.
yeah, yeah,
But if
yeah.
there is a like very big range like 100 to like 5 6,000, so
Mm-hmm.
like if you want to choose the exact value in between them, so how do we do that? There will be a difficulty for the user, right?
Yeah, yeah. I understand your question now. What you are trying to say is that whenever you have this slider, you want to show the
Yeah,
value, right?
pop the
That's
value up. Yeah, that exactly where we are right now.
if I remember in your CSS also there is one option where you can show that. You can show the value, or again you can just use the slider which is given to you by Bootstrap that has lots many options for you. Or if you want to just are you or you want to display it just below it, what you are trying to set it.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
box or something maybe.
Or what you can do is that you can add a label below it, below your slider, right? And you can just show up the value in that label.
Okay.
Like you have the range here and you want to display a value, what you could do is that you can add a label here where you will be displaying the value, and using your JavaScript you can show the value of that particular slider, whatever value you are trying to set over there. Okay. By default, this slider which is given to us by HTML, you cannot just on the on hover you cannot see the value. It's
Yeah,
you
that's
have to
what
do
I've asked it.
yeah
So
yeah you have to
it's
do
not,
it
it cannot be
using.
done with HTML.
By default, it doesn't give you the option to do that. You can use different settings in JavaScript. You can pick up the value, get the value from it, and you can display it in your label.
Okay, ma'am.
Like I can give ID to this label. Inside my JavaScript, I can fetch the value of this range and I can display it in my label that what value I'm trying to fetch. By default, it doesn't give you the option.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
The things you can change, like look and feel, you can change. Like if it is coming like this, you want to change, show some kind of a different icon here, that also in your CSS file you can give different kind of a backgrounds here. You can show an image which you can attach here, right? If you want to show a square one, then you can set the border radius to 0, right? That will show you the square one. Using in your CSS also, there are multiple things you can do with the slider. There is something like WebKit appearance which you can set. Again, in CSS you will see that you can make different changes to it. The question what you have asked, like in hover, if you want to see the value, by default it cannot show it. Just that using your JavaScript you can add this label. I can write here like ID. I can't show you the JavaScript code here. I name it LBL range, something like that. But on your page load, or whenever this value is getting changed, whenever you are changing the value of this slider, at that particular point, you can just go into your JavaScript and show this value. Hope this answers your question now.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What else I was showing to you? The range is done. I have shown you month. Telephone, you can use telephone. You want to use time, URL, week. Try all these options at home. What all you can try, right? The most important thing which I want to tell you now is that you have seen this form I have added, right? Now what will happen if I click on submit? Let's say I have done all the validations, fill the values according to those validations. What will happen if I click on submit? After all the validations are in place, as of now nothing will happen. The reason being, we have not specified anywhere what should happen on the click of submit. To do that, in your form where you are starting that element, you need to specify few things. The important things which you need to specify here is action. Action means what will happen when you click on this. Generally, we give the name of any other HTML page where I want to go. Let's say I create another page here. I call it thankyou.html, something like that, right? And the basic here, just that one header, thank you. Here, what you could do is that you can specify the name of your page. And how will this go to that page? For that, you also need to specify the HTTP method. You can either use get or post. What happens if you use get? What is the difference between get and post is that if you use get and if you are sending some values to your next HTML page, all those values will appear on the URL itself if you're submitting some values, right? However, if you post it, nothing will appear in URL. It will still be posted to your another HTML page. All those values will be posted. How do you read that values is something different. That's not part of HTML for now. You can simply see that if I put some values here, right, and I click on submit here, because I have just given the name, that's why it's not being displayed properly. Otherwise it will come to your HTML page, whatever page you have given. You can also set this action using your JavaScript code. Generally we set the reference from JavaScript, however it is possible from here also. And we also specify a name for your form so that you can read it in your JavaScript. Of course, you can access it by ID also. Generally, we give a name also. Information, let's say I'm naming it now. You can change it anything. These three are the main attributes which are associated with your form. Two are the most important, like action, whatever action you want to specify, and what is the method you are using. You want to get or you want to post your information. Okay, any questions from this? Anything which is not clear you want me to repeat?
Please explain it again.
Sorry?
Please explain again this form, the action method that you are saying.
Okay, what happens is that initially we have added just this form, right? And I have given a submit button at the end. Type is submit. One more thing, you can also add more buttons here. It's not just that you can add submit. I can add any other button also. Type is button. And you can, in your JavaScript, you can handle give an event handler from here and write the code in your JavaScript to handle it. I can specify any name and value for it. Let's say go home. Anything like that I want to display. So that will come on your page. Why it's not displayed? I need to give the name. Type button. Yeah. Now it's coming, go home, right? If you want to do something on this button, you need to write JavaScript code. However, for submit, wherever this type is submit, what happens if you click here? Nothing is happening. If without using your JavaScript code, you want to navigate to some other page, you want to do something, for that, what you could do is that whenever you are starting this form, you can add one action here. I want to, let's say, go to google.com. On click of this, right? So this action, whatever URL you give here, whatever path you provide here, it will go to that particular path on click of your submit, not on the click of other buttons. On other buttons, you need to write code either in JavaScript or server-side code, however you want to write it. Okay?
So, ma'am, we cannot add a link to the submit button directly.
No.
It can be added here. Like.
One way is you add submit here, you provide action here, and you can navigate to that particular page. Second is that you can write an event handler here that on click you want to go somewhere. You can write that code in JavaScript and you can make the changes from there. Link only is generally for your anchor tags. If you have an anchor tag, if you have a link, right? In that case, that can be happen on click of your buttons. You want to perform whatever data you're capturing here, right? You want to store it somewhere. You want to process it. How will you process it? If you will directly click on the link, right? You need to process that data. Maybe you want to store into SQL Server, you want to, or on any cloud, you want to publish it, anything you want to do it with that data. Okay?
Yeah, ma'am.
Now,
one more thing I want to ask, ma'am.
Yeah.
There are several forms on the internet which ask for your like profile picture or document or something.
Yeah.
So can HTML is having such tags to add profile picture documents in PDF format or a Word format, something like that.
You can add the input here for file. Just that, how do you process it? For that, you need to go to server side, right? If you are reading that, basic things you can do from here. Type is file.
Okay.
Doing this, it will start showing you a pop-up for choose file, right? This started coming in. It will show you a pop-up and you can choose a file, right?
Yeah,
This thing you can, all the elements, whatever you can think of, all those elements are available on HTML. It's just that by using alone, only using HTML, you cannot handle everything. It's a combination of all the different things, like JavaScript client side is there. If you want to write server-side code, you can link with the server-side technologies, right? You can use different frameworks so that you can provide a linkage. Even if you are writing code in Python using Django, you still need to know a bit of HTML. How do you write HTML code, right? Okay. If you are
Yeah, ma'am.
developing a website using ASP.NET, then also, although the engine is different, there you have a Razor engine or MVC, whatever you are using, the base is still HTML. Okay. And I
Okay,
was
ma'am.
telling that you need to add one action here. Action after action, you need to also provide a method. What method you want to use. The difference between get and post is that both will take you to the next page. No difference. Both will help you process the data, fetch the information of this form there. All that can be done. Just that when you provide the get, use the get, information will be displayed on the URL. If you use post, that information will not be displayed on the URL. So post is the more secure way of sending your data. If for some reason you want to display data on URL, then you should use get. Otherwise, for most of the cases, we use post here. If you do not specify the HTTP method here, you will not be able to perform your action. Is this clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Yeah, so we are running out of time. Any quick questions? Anything you want to ask?
Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am, like we are inputting the things, whatever we are giving, where it is storing right now?
Nothing, nowhere. HTML is stateless. What you have to do is that you have to use some kind of a storage. See, as I said, for
Hello, ma'am.
example, one second, I want to display this data on some SQL server, right? So you need a server-side technology where you will be doing it. Like you can use the framework and use the Python to store the data to your SQL, right? You can use ASP.NET MVC framework. In that, you'll be designing your page. On your view, you have a controller from which you can make a call to your database. From your HTML, the call will be sent to your database where the data will be stored. The things we are learning for now is just the front end, where we are not storing, we are not fetching any data. Does
Okay.
this answer your question?
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
All right. Yeah.
Ma'am, will you please share the HTML file with us? It helps a lot
Sure.
while writing.
I'll share this form. I can just share it right away.
Hello, ma'am.
Chat. Yeah.
Ma'am, you told us if you want to go one page to the another page, we can use action. But instead of action, we can use hypertext reference, ma'am. It also go one page to the another page.
But how will you send the data? See, for everything, there are multiple ways to do it, right? You can also handle it using JavaScript. You can, I'm just telling you the basic thing which is available with form, right? And like I shown you that different buttons can be placed in inside your form. It's not that you're limited to only one submit. Submit is what is by default associated with that form. It's something, the default functionality which is given to us using the form. I forgot to tell you one more type, which is reset. Type reset. What it does is that it will reset all the values. So reset is coming. Suppose I set up some values here and I want to reset it. I click on reset. It will clear all the fields inside that particular form. Nothing outside the form, inside just that one form. Okay, so it is the default things which are available with form. Even if in your real time when you'll be writing code, there are n number of ways you can write one code, right? It's just that this is the default thing, default submit functionality, which is associated with your form. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please say.
Ma'am, I have a question, doubt regarding the image. So can I share my screen before?
Wait 1 second. Let me ask. Is Abhishek there? Abhishek, is there any doubt clearing session for them so that they can ask all these questions over there also?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, please send it to the HTML file.
I did on the chat box. Please check. It is there. Okay. Who asked me to share the screen? Let's quickly have a look. Who has asked to share the screen to ask the question related to image? Hello? Someone was asking to share the screen. Okay. Don't worry, next week onwards, except these sessions, you will be having your doubt clearing sessions. In that, nothing new will be taught to you. You'll be only asking the questions and the trainer will be giving answers to your questions.
Ma'am, actually, we have a doubt clearing session every day. And
Oh,
Abhishek is
okay. It
taking
is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Then you can ask there also, right? You can show your screen there and ask your questions, right?
Ma'am, we are asking.
Are you not getting your answers?
Yes, ma'am, we are getting an answer.
Okay, great.
We are getting answer, ma'am.
All right, great. All right, so we are done with today's session. Next
Yes,
week, you will be learning about CSS. So a combination of HTML and CSS, you'll see how can you set up different styles over there. All right. Have a great week
Yeah.
ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.
okay, ma'am. Thank you
Thank you,
so much,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.